Picture this. You are stopped at a red light. You are driving a 10-year-old car. It's reliable, the AC works, but the paint has seen better days, and it's certainly not turning any heads. Suddenly, a brand new, $90,000 luxury SUV pulls up next to you. The driver looks over. Maybe there's a hint of pity in their eyes. They assume, based on the metal box you are sitting in, that you are struggling. They assume that because you are driving a car from a decade ago, you simply can't afford anything better. But what that driver doesn't know is that your 10-year-old car is fully paid off. What they don't know is that the $700 a month they are sending to the bank for their car loan, you are sending to a brokerage account. What they don't know is that your net worth is 10 times higher than theirs. In our society, cars have become the ultimate camouflage for the broke. We have been brainwashed by decades of brilliant marketing into believing that a car is a scorecard of our success. We are taught that as soon as you get a promotion, as soon as you make a little more money, you are supposed to go straight to the dealership and upgrade your ride to prove to the world that you are doing well. But today, we are going to expose the greatest wealth-destroying trap of the modern middle class: the car loan. Welcome back to Assets Over Appearances. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the math, the psychology, and the hidden reality of car ownership. We are going to break down exactly why resisting the urge to upgrade and choosing to drive an old car is not a sign of failure. It is, in fact, one of the most powerful financial superpowers you can possess. To understand why driving an old car is a superpower, you first have to understand the catastrophic damage that buying a new car does to your wealth. And to do that, we need to look at the math. It is brutal, and it is entirely stacked against you. Let's look at the average consumer. Right now, the average monthly payment for a new car in the United States is hovering around $750. For luxury vehicles, it frequently crosses the $1,000 mark. But it's not just the monthly payment, it is the duration of the trap. People are taking out 60, 72, and even 84-month loans just to keep the monthly payment low enough to squeeze into their budget. That is up to 7 years of your life, chained to a depreciating asset. And let's talk about the word depreciation. A car is not an investment. An investment puts money into your pocket. A car takes money out of your pocket every single day it exists. The second you sign those papers and drive that shiny new car off the dealership lot, it loses roughly 10 to 20% of its value. Poof, gone, into thin air. By the end of the first year, it has lost 25%. After 5 years, that car is worth less than half of what you paid for it. You are paying interest to a bank, to borrow money, to buy an object that is mathematically guaranteed to lose value. It is the exact opposite of building wealth. Now, let's look at the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what your money could have been doing if it wasn't tied up in a car payment. Let's imagine two people. Person A wants to look rich. They take on a $750 monthly car payment for 6 years. By the time the loan is paid off, they have a 6-year-old car that has lost most of its value, and they have $0 in the bank. Person B decides to keep their reliable old Honda. They take that same $750 a month and invest it into a basic S&P 500 index fund, earning an average historical return of about 8 to 10%. After those same 6 years, Person B doesn't just have the $54,000 they saved. Thanks to compound interest, that account is sitting at nearly $70,000. But the magic doesn't stop there. If Person B simply leaves that $70,000 alone and never adds another penny to it in 30 years, that money will grow to over $700,000. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. When you finance a new car to impress people at traffic lights, you are not just paying $50,000 for the car. You are sacrificing hundreds of thousands of dollars of your future wealth. You are literally trading your financial independence, your early retirement, and your freedom for heated leather seats and a new car smell that fades in 3 months. If the math is so terrible, why do millions of smart, hardworking people fall into this trap every single day? The answer is psychology. Car companies spend billions of dollars every year, not to sell you a mode of transportation, but to sell you an identity. They don't sell you an engine and 4 wheels. They sell you dominance, freedom, sex appeal, and most importantly, status. We buy cars to communicate where we stand in the social hierarchy. It is a visual shortcut to tell the world, look at me. I am doing well. I have made it. And the most dangerous psychological trigger of all is the I deserve it mentality. You work 50 hours a week. You are stressed. You deal with a boss you don't like. So, you convince yourself that you deserve a nice car. You use it as a coping mechanism for the stress of your daily life. But here is the brutal irony. The very thing you buy to reward yourself for working so hard is the exact thing that forces you to keep working so hard. You become trapped in a golden cage. You can't quit a job you hate, you can't take a risk on a new business, and you can't take a year off to travel because you have a $700 car payment due on the 15th of every month. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. When you buy a new car, you get a massive spike of dopamine. For the first few weeks, you look back at it when you walk away in the parking lot. You love the smell. You love the compliments from your friends. But human beings adapt incredibly fast. Usually within 3 to 6 months, that dopamine spike completely vanishes. It stops being a luxury car and just becomes the thing you drive to work. The excitement is dead. But the 7-year loan contract you signed? That is very much alive. You are now paying top dollar for a thrill that expired years ago. So, what happens when you step off this treadmill? What happens when you decide to keep driving your old paid-off car? You don't just save money. You gain a set of superpowers. Number 1, absolute financial invulnerability. When you don't have a car payment, your monthly overhead drops dramatically. If you lose your job, if the economy crashes, or if you face a medical emergency, you don't have the suffocating anxiety of the repo man coming for your vehicle. You have breathing room. An old car gives you the power to say no to a toxic boss, because you aren't a slave to your monthly bills. Number 2, unbreakable psychological peace. Do you know how exhausting it is to own a pristine, expensive car? You have to park it at the very back of the parking lot to avoid door dings. You stress when a bird poops on the paint. You panic when you have to park on a narrow street. Your possessions end up owning you. When you drive a 10-year-old car with a few scratches on the bumper, you possess true freedom. A shopping cart hits it? Who cares? A rock chips the paint? It adds character. You treat the car as what it is supposed to be, a tool. You use the tool. The tool does not use you. Number 3, the ultimate stealth wealth cloak. An old car makes you invisible in the best way possible. It lowers your insurance premiums. It lowers your property taxes. Mechanics don't try to overcharge you because they assume you are on a budget. Cops are statistically less likely to pull over a beige Honda Civic than a bright red sports car. And most importantly, it filters your relationships. Nobody is friends with you because of your car. Nobody asks to borrow money from the guy driving a 2012 Toyota. You get to build your wealth in complete silence, protected from the envy and expectations of the outside world. If you still feel the pressure to look wealthy, you need to understand what real wealth actually looks like. Extensive studies on millionaires in the United States constantly reveal the same shocking truth. The most common car driven by actual self-made millionaires isn't a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, or a Mercedes. It's a Toyota Camry, it's a Honda Accord, it's a Ford F-150. They didn't get rich by buying expensive cars, and they stay rich by continuing to avoid them. They view a car as a rapidly depreciating appliance, like a refrigerator. Does a refrigerator keep your food cold? Great. Does a car get you safely from point A to point B? Perfect. Everything else is just ego. If you want to adopt this superpower, here is the framework. First, adopt the cash rule. If you cannot buy a car in cash twice over without it wiping out your emergency fund, you cannot afford it. Financing a depreciating asset is a math equation built for your destruction. Second, if you must buy a car, buy it slightly used. Let the first owner take the massive 30% depreciation hit during the first 3 years. Buy a reliable 3 to 5-year-old car, pay it off quickly, and drive it into the ground for the next decade. The next time you pull up to a red light in your older car and a brand new luxury vehicle pulls up next to you, don't feel inferior. Don't feel the urge to run to a dealership. Smile. Look straight ahead. Because while they are driving their wealth off a cliff, you are quietly building an empire. You are playing the long game. You have realized that true financial freedom doesn't roar from a V8 engine. It whispers from a compounding investment account. An old car isn't a symbol of what you lack. It is the ultimate symbol of what you possess: discipline, clarity, and a future that is entirely yours. If this video opened your eyes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join the stealth wealth movement. I want to hear from you in the comments below. What car are you currently driving, how many miles are on it, and how much money is it saving you every month? Let's celebrate the old cars together. Remember, society wants you to look rich. We want you to be wealthy. Choose assets over appearances. I'll see you in the next video.